What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Eagles Pregame Live. I'm your host at Scotty Drowned, is where you can find me on social media platforms. Show is brought to you by DSM-Media Philadelphia. As it says here in the comments, get involved in the comments. Let me know how you're feeling. I know we only got a little under 20 minutes to go until game time for the Eagles-Raiders matchup, but I did want to touch base with you guys and give you time to get involved in the show and just give us your thoughts, man. There's not a lot to get into for this matchup. It's pretty straightforward. The Eagles are 12.5-point favorites coming into this one against Las Vegas. They've lost three straight. Dallas Cowboys, Chicago Bears, and the LA Chargers last Monday. It's been painful. It's been hair pull out worthy, whatever you want to call it. It's been tumultuous. It's been hard to watch is the easiest way to put it, my guys. But happy to tap in with you all today. Happy Sunday, and go Birds to start the show. We're going to set the table here. Obviously, I mentioned it, Eagles 12.5-point favorites. So something they haven't been able to do for quite a while, right? Even the two wins before this 3-game win streak were won by single digits. I believe it was 3 points or less in each of those matchups against Detroit and Green Bay. So the Eagles, in order to cover that spread, in order to, score whatever they need to score today, they're going to have to bounce back today. Jalen Hurts is going to have to bounce back today. Thank you for tapping in, HP. Appreciate you. HP wants to see an offense in rhythm. Yeah, I feel that, man. My one worry, I will throw this out here at the beginning, man, and I texted you about it. Clue in, HP is my good friend. I texted you about it and a couple of other of our Eagles fans this morning, and I was like, man, the weather, right? I sent you guys a picture of the snow here in Philly, and it piled up a little bit more than what I was expecting. And, I think snow and weather, that stuff goes both ways in a sense, right? You can think that it could ultimately level the playing field to an extent against the Raiders, or it could ultimately accentuate the Eagles' strong suits, right? Which is running the ball with Saquon or using Jalen Hurts' legs, getting it done on the ground, right? And playing a little bit of some conservative ball could play in the Eagles' favor in that sense. But I more view it in the sense of wacky shit can happen when the ball is wet and the field is slippery. And so in my eyes, it balances the game out a little bit when you're looking at a 12.5-point spread, obviously a 2-11. Is that right? 2-11 Las Vegas Raiders team. I think the weather, I'm not going to say it completely evens it out. It's not like that, obviously. I just think it evens it out a little. It gets it closer to even is what I'm trying to say. I'm a big fan of Eagles season, better Eagles kick Raiders butts. I'm with you, little Griffith. The Eagles don't just need a win. They need a dominant win. They need to your point, go out and kick the Raiders' butts. We need a dominant win today. And even with a dominant win today, we're not going to come out of it thinking, we're going to the Super Bowl again. It's not like that. We just need it for our sanity. It's not to reestablish the Eagles as this top contender in the NFC. It's not any of that. It's just to show us the Eagles can win a fucking football game and not step on their own feet while trying to do so. You need more than yeah, thank you, Terry. I didn't see this comment, but I know it came in before I said that. I promise you I wasn't just reading your comment. That was actually coming from my own thoughts. So we're on the same page there. Need more than just a W. And like I said, it's not just to reestablish in the NFC. This isn't going to do that. This isn't going to make the Niners, to your point, scared of the Philadelphia Eagles just because you beat the Raiders. It's more or less just to gain our sanity back and start pushing for higher expectations, right? Which you do play the Bills, and then you got 2 games against the Commanders after this. So the Bills, the Buffalo Bills, that is the game where you can somewhat earn some of your respect back if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. So we'll see how that goes. Eagles need a win. Yep, you're right. Don't need that for my sanity. I'm guessing you're talking about the weather. But yeah, we need the W for our sanity. It stole your line. No, you're right. I think it's obvious. We need a W. I'm going to be an uncle times two. So boy, well, congrats. I'm happy for you, man. That's awesome. So that means we're definitely getting a W today if we got that good news as well. So let's get into just some narratives, right? So we got Jalen Hurts 5 turnovers last week against the LA Chargers. We've already gotten into that throughout the last week. I'm not going to get into that again. You got Geno Smith out today. Kenny Pickett will start in his place. So obviously Kenny Pickett, familiar with the Eagles from last season, won a Super Bowl as a backup quarterback for the Eagles last year. So we'll see what Kenny Pickett looks like on the other side of things today. Lane Johnson, Jalen Carter, they remain out. So we'll see what the offensive line, what they can do. Fred Johnson has been pretty sturdy on that right side. I don't think he's been the problem at times. I think it's been the other offensive line and the starters that have been having lapses and errors in their play. So we'll see what they can do. And then Jalen Carter on the other side, the defensive line played like a monster without him last week. Byron Young stepped up in his place while he was out. You obviously have Moro Ajomo there, Jalen Phillips, so on and so forth. But looking forward to getting Jalen Carter back at some point, hopefully from those shoulder surgeries. You look at the Raiders this season. I mentioned they're 2-11 earlier. How many games have they lost straight? Let's just check that out really quick. The Raiders have lost 7 in a row. They've lost 7 games straight coming into this one. You look at their offensive measurements. Overall, they're the 31st ranked offense. Rushing offense, they're the last in the NFL. They're 32nd in rushing. They're 26th in passing, and they're 32nd in scoring offensively. You look at the defensive side of things, the Raiders are 16th overall defense, so they are a bit better on the defensive side of things. The rush defense ranks 16th as well. The pass defense 17th, scoring 24th. So maybe their offense is putting them in bad positions, whatever the case may be. They do give up points compared to where they rank throughout the rest of their defense statistically. Along with that defense, you obviously know the star that comes with it on the Raiders side, Max Crosby. He's turned his play up of late. He has 5 sacks, 15 tackles for loss in his last 6 games this season. So he's coming into this game hot. He's coming into this game being that game record that he's known to be. And once again, you talk about Lane Johnson out. You talk about Jordan Mailata, who has not played very well this season for my money, going against Max Crosby on those edges. I believe he lines up on Fred Johnson's side more, but definitely if there's any Raiders fans out there, correct me if I'm wrong. So we'll see what that matchup looks like. Max Crosby, obviously a top-level talent, top-level edge rusher in the NFL. The Eagles have scored less than 21 points in their last 5 games. So in the last 5 games since the bye week, we thought the bye week would fix the offense. In return, it's actually broke it more. They made more wrong moves on the offensive end. They have not scored 21-plus points since before the bye week, which is crazy. They got 2 wins against Detroit and Green Bay. We know how low scoring the offense was in those. And then the last 3 weeks, you've obviously come away with L's, all scoring below 21 points. So Eagles offense needs to get it going. And then obviously I mentioned the weather earlier. We got a couple inches of snow in Philly last night. So it definitely laid. We'll see how well they're able to get the field cleaned off, because it does not look like it's snowing right now. It looks like it's pretty sunny out. So hopefully melting snow and guys getting the field cleaned off, hopefully it doesn't impact the game too much. Let's get into keys of victory, because we don't have much time here. I'm not going to waste any. My first key to victory today, with the weather in mind, and honestly, take the weather out. It's with the play of the offensive mind, turning the ball over 5 times last week. Get creative in the run game, obviously, getting Saquon involved. I think when you look at Saquon having success in the run game, he has success when he goes outside the guard, outside the tackle. He doesn't have success when he runs inside the tackle. I think it's very obvious so far this season and throughout. Let's get him running to the outside. Let's see what moves he can make out there and see what he can get done against this defense. I would also like to see Jalen get involved more with his legs. I know Pumper, our usual guest here on the show. I know he doesn't believe in Jalen Hurts using his legs, being that dual threat anymore. I still do believe in it, and I think we need to see it. I think it needs to be used a little bit more given the weather and where it's at today. And then the short passing game. I think you need to get Saquon involved in the short passing game. I think you need to get Will Shipley, Tank Bigsby, the backup running backs, right? I think Dallas Goedert is huge today. There's a reason I'm wearing the 88 jersey today. I think he's a huge piece of what the Eagles need to do to be successful today. You look at the last week specifically on some of those misses by Jalen, it's guys running straight through the middle of the fucking defense, wide open. I'm just praying and hoping that they sat down as an offense, watch some tape, and they see the misses, and they try to figure out how to not miss those again. And I think Goddard's going to have some room to work today. I think he's going to have some room to get established. So get Goddard involved in the short pass game. Get some of those tight end screen going, those tight end misdirection plays in the red zone. I would love to see him heavily involved today. And I think this all leads to one of my other keys to victories as well, which is it's simple, but it's something that they haven't been able to do. It's win the turnover battle. You can't come out here and turn the ball over more than the fucking Las Vegas Raiders. Kenny Pickett. That can't happen. And you win this game. So come out here and take care of the ball. And that plays along with the first key to victory, which is let's get creative in the run game. Let's get creative in the short pass game. Let's get the offense in rhythm, to your point, HP, earlier in the show. And more importantly, get Jalen Hurts in rhythm so that we don't watch what we had to watch last week or even some of these previous weeks since the bye week. Yeah, I agree. There was I don't know if it was last week or the week before that, but Hurts just gets nailed from his blind side. Like nobody, Jordan Mailata has been very poor this year. I've seen him stumble over his own feet during times this season. It's just ridiculous. Missed run assignments down the field. It's been painful to watch. I'm hoping he can turn it up because I know he's a good player. This can't be long term, right? But yeah, you're gonna have to protect Hurts from Max Crosby. You know, he, like I said earlier, he's been on a tear. 5 sacks, 15 tackles for losses in his last 6 games. So he's a game wrecker. With the weather being the way it is, ball going to be slippery. He can be a very big game wrecker today. The other key to victory that I'll mention here does pertain to the Eagles' defense. Obviously, you need the defense to show up today if you want to win as well. I think the bigger thing here is that they have shown up. I think the one outlier maybe you could point to is the Chicago game where they got ran all over. That was a short week. They looked tired. If I'm just being honest, it's not an excuse. Everybody played a short week that played in those games, but the Eagles looked tired. The defense did, and they've been playing a lot with the way the offense has been struggling. So what I need today, right, because this is Kenny Pickett, it's a struggling Raiders offense. They're the 31st ranked offense in the NFL. I need the defense to not come out of sleep. Simply. Just don't come out and sleep today. You can't relax. The offense should have a better day today. They should score above 21 points. I got them scoring above 21 points today. Defense still needs to do its job. If you want to make life easier for the offense by getting turnovers today, we would love that. But just simply don't come out here relaxed thinking, oh, Kenny Pickett, this is a W. This is easy. Because that's how you get ran over by Ashton Genty. That's how Brock Bowers has a monster game through the middle, dominating in the red zone, whatever the case may be. Let's not let that happen today. I do think Las Vegas will lean on Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers heavily today with Kenny Pickett in the lineup for Geno Smith. The safeties and linebackers, those are the guys I'm looking at today. They need to be on point. You had Marcus Epps filling in for Sidney Brown, and who was filling in for Andrew Makuba, obviously, last week. Thought Marcus Epps was a lot better. Reed Blankenship, you're going to have to help out in the run game with those tight ends. You can't get beat by Brock Bowers all day today, right? I'm sure Coop DeJean's going to get some work on Brock Bowers, depending where they line him up at times. Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, going to be super, super, super important in the coverage schemes against the tight end and the running backs. So got to lock in defensively, guys. But we're running up against the game time here. Let me get to my predictions and get you guys out of here. I appreciate all of you that tapped in, tuned in ahead of game time today. Sorry about the sloppiness with the timing. It was a little late, so we're rushing here, but I apologize. Let's get through it. Predictions. I got the Eagles winning this one, obviously. If you haven't been able to tell by my keys to victory, how I've been talking about this, they need to fucking win, and they need to win in dominating fashion. I got the Eagles winning 24-6 today. I think the defense does show up. I think they continued their great play of late. I think Kenny Pickett struggles today. I think he turns the ball over a few times. And I think the Eagles finally have a somewhat fun day. 24 points is not a lot, to be clear, but it's a lot for the way this offense is playing right now. So I think it will feel a lot more fun than what it's been the last few weeks, even with the snow. My offensive player of the game is Dallas Goedert. Short pass game. I think he gets involved in the red zone today. I think he gets a touchdown today, if I'm being honest. And then defensively, I was really close to going Jalen Hunt because he's been a fucking monster this season, and it hasn't been talked about enough with the way the offense has been struggling. Ended up going with Jalen Phillips on the other side. He's due for a monster game himself. I think we've been able to see some other guys shine the last few weeks, Jalen Hunt being one of them. Byron Young last week with, I believe, a sack and a half. Jalen Phillips, I think, gets to the quarterback today, gets a sack, and maybe gets a forced fumble today, strip sack. But yeah, I got the Eagles winning 24-6. My best bets. I know we're at the 1 p.m. mark, so you won't have any time to lay them, but I went with Goddard over 33.5 receiving yards at -111. That was my favorite play today. I also went with Saquon over 80 rushing yards, -116 when I laid it. And then I also, for my hammer play, I went with the Eagles over 23.5 points, -142. Let's just fucking score the football today, for God's sake. Sneaky play, Goddard tutty, +290. I am going to sprinkle that one as the game goes on. I got a live TD boost, so we'll get involved there. But I do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in, tapping in with us. Let's go get this W and go Birds. Peace, everybody.